change. If this injury does anything, it should be a wake-up call to the WNBA, the Players Association, the team owners, that just like that, all this fanfare, all this interest, all this newfound attention on the league can disappear.
The WNBA is on fire. They're losing millions of dollars after Caitlin Clark's injury, and now their only way out is suspending their referee. But do you think a simple suspension cuts it, or should these referees be fired on the spot? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Now let's get to the interesting stuff. In what was supposed to be another routine matchup between the Indiana Fever and New York Liberty, something went very, very wrong, and now the league is scrambling to put out fires it can't control. Caitlin Clark, the player who single-handedly reignited national interest in the WNBA, went down with an injury that the Fever would later call a left quadriceps strain.
Excellent passing season as well. Her assist numbers. Oh no, Caitlin Clark has yet. So Ryan Howard picks up the foul. Pressure she had on her shoulders coming into the ankle roll one more time, right? That's rookie seasons in WNBA history.
The official statement said she'd be out at least 2 weeks. But behind that simple announcement was a full-blown crisis.
Told so far by the team is that this is actually an injury that was separate from the quad tightness issue, as Caitlin Clark described it earlier in the preseason, that she dealt with before. So it's a little bit of an interesting situation given that it was the same leg. Because
once the replay started circulating, fans noticed something strange. Hard hits, rough fouls, and no whistles. Why did no one intervene when Caitlin Clark was repeatedly getting busted by her opponent? Leaked footage from that night showed her being shoved, bumped, and body-checked repeatedly. Worse, it showed the referees looking the other way every single time.
Referees seems like his only experience was actually refereeing high school games. Now, I will put this out there, you guys. I don't want any of you guys hunting down the referee.
Almost overnight, the conversation shifted to what exactly is going on with WNBA officiating. At the center of it all is a WNBA referee now reportedly facing suspension pending an internal review. Sources close to the situation claim the referee failed to enforce even basic foul calls in the game, allowing overly physical play that some say created the perfect storm for Clark's injury. This could have gone very wrong if Clark got a few more nasty blows, as this could have even ended her career. And who knows if this wasn't what they were aiming for.
Does Caitlin Clark need a championship to be considered one of the greats in women's college basketball history?
Yeah.
While the league hasn't officially named names yet, everyone has already drawn their conclusions. The footage speaks for itself. The referee let the injuries happen and didn't seem to care at all. The WNBA's silence, however, is only adding fuel to the fire. They haven't really taken much interest in clarifying their stance or even taking any accountability, at least not yet. But here's where it gets even messier. Some fans and analysts aren't just blaming poor officiating. They're asking a bigger, uglier question. Was this part of a bigger agenda?
In a split instance, all of it can change. If this injury does anything, it should be a wake-up call to the WNBA, the Players Association, the team owners, that just like that, all this fanfare, all this interest, all this newfound attention on the league can disappear.
For months, there's been an undercurrent in WNBA conversations that not everyone was thrilled about Caitlin Clark's sudden rise. Clark, a straight white woman from Iowa, had become the face of the league practically overnight. Packed arenas, sold-out jerseys, record-breaking viewership, all tied to her name. But to some players and fans, it felt like the WNBA was promoting one story at the expense of many others, particularly black players who had carried the league for years with little mainstream attention.
In college and pro, 6, 7, 8 threes made.
Oh man,
Behind the scenes, there obviously was resentment, frustration, and more than a few pointed comments about how the media had anointed Clark while ignoring the rest.
Like the WNBA finals were actually rigged because Kathy Engelbert was also wearing a dress that had the New York City skyline on it, so there was just a bunch of things that seemed kind of fishy.
So when Clark started getting roughed up on the court, hard screens, elbows, body checks, and referees just let it slide, people noticed. Maybe the league was just trying to humble Caitlin, but they probably didn't see the reaction coming from her fans. The impact of Clark's injury was immediate and brutal. Ticket prices for upcoming Fever remained unsold. What had been the hottest ticket in town was suddenly just another game. Sections that were once sold out were now ghost towns.
Like the Chicago Sky to the United Arena, you're screwed. You're done. You're cooked. Nobody is going to show up.
Merchandise sales, jerseys, shirts, hats, all took a hit, and this meant WNBA's revenue took a hit. The Fever, a team that had been living a dream ever since Caitlin came, started stumbling. Without Clark on the court, the magic was gone, and it showed. Even though they don't have any games for the next 2 weeks, they seem extremely underconfident ever since Caitlin's been injured.
We're told that Clark was not seen in the open portion of practice by reporters who are on the ground there, so that's something we'll keep an eye on too as she makes her way back.
But the fans weren't having it. Online hashtags like Justice for Clark and Fix the WNBA trended for days. The outcry wasn't just about one player. It was about what her injury revealed about the league's deep cracks. But it gets worse. Even injured, Clark wasn't invisible. At the Fever's next game, the WNBA reportedly tried to bring her to the ground to coach the teammates and make it look like they were on the same page and that Caitlin didn't blame them for anything.
2024 was a year of unprecedented growth in viewership in the WNBA, a substantial amount of which can be attributed to Caitlin Clark, who took the basketball world by storm after an all-time.
But her absence was impossible to ignore. Without Clark, the WNBA felt different, flatter, quieter. Like a concert where the headline act suddenly cancels mid-tour. A lot of people actually think that Caitlin was present in the game because the WNBA wanted some good PR after losing millions because of her injury. And to be honest, everyone was pinning it on WNBA's inefficiency and bad referees, so they probably thought that if they made it look like Caitlin was on their side, the hate might simmer down a little. But the WNBA is also justified in trying to save face. They had bet big on this season being a turning point, record ratings, viral moments, and finally mainstream relevance. And for a while it worked. Clark wasn't just playing well, she was redefining what was possible. She made people who had never cared about women's basketball before tune in. She brought energy, new fans, and most importantly, revenue.
Minneapolis or one of these visiting cities paying all this money, paying up for tickets, and at the end of the day, deciding to not go, all right? Calling the whole trip.
But the problem with building your house on one star is when she goes down, everything else starts to wobble. And now, as the league faces scrutiny over officiating, fan outrage, and plummeting sales, it's clear Caitlin Clark was the engine, and without her, the WNBA's shiny new momentum is sputtering. People who have already bought their tickets and even traveled just to see Caitlin Clark are either selling their tickets or choosing not to go. They're angry at Caitlin Clark, and it's pretty obvious if you look at the new ticket sales.
It doesn't work. You need Caitlin Clark out there. She does so much for you, and we're just looking at the playmaking side of things. What about factoring in the scoring?
The suspension of the referee at the center of the Clark incident might satisfy some fans temporarily. It might give the appearance that the league is taking action. But the real problems go deeper, because if the WNBA can't protect its biggest stars, if it can't ensure basic player safety, how can it expect fans to stick around? How can it convince networks to pay for broadcast rights? How can it justify higher salaries and bigger endorsements? For now, the league is standing at a dangerous crossroads. One wrong move could undo all the progress it's made in the past year. And it seems like the WNBA is still confused about what to do next because they're really panicking and scrambling at straws just to save this league. Clark's timeline for return is still uncertain. The initial 2-week estimate was never a guarantee, just the first checkpoint.
You don't want to see her come back at 80%, 70%. She's experiencing the type of defense that no other player in the WNBA experiences. They're triple teaming her every single possession.
Some insiders suggest the Fever will be cautious, not risking a longer-term injury by rushing her back too soon. Others think Clark herself will push to return, fueled by the backlash and the sense that the league needs her now more than ever. But whatever happens, one thing is clear. When she does return, it won't just be a comeback, it'll be a statement. And for the WNBA, it'll be a moment of truth. So now they have two choices. They can continue business as usual, issue a suspension, let the headlines die down, and quietly hope Clark's return patches up the cracks. But this would also mean risking millions in revenue in the next several games, which the WNBA is not ready to do. This would also bring insanely bad PR for them and would make it look like they don't care about their own player.
Like, this league is already kind of failing. This league is already going downhill, even while having a golden goose like Caitlin Clark. If she were to leave after everybody saw what happens when you finally get a player who's really good, nobody's going to come back to this league for it.
Letting one referee go wouldn't make much of a difference. It won't make the WNBA look like the good guys overnight. Or, and this is the harder path, they can finally admit the truth: the league needs to change. And that, they're really not ready to do it because they've got a lot riding on this, and they need this league to be successful, with or without Caitlin. People think that, first, on the WNBA's agenda should be player protection. It's one thing to market physical play as good old-fashioned basketball. It's another to let your biggest asset get hacked with no consequence. This isn't the 90s NBA. The WNBA can't afford to risk stars for the sake of a tougher image.
Injuries are a part of it. Again, I get it. It sucks.
Yeah.
If you bought a ticket to see somebody and they're hurt, I get it. That is like a big bummer. But no, you would never say that about men's sports.
If anything, the league's survival depends on it adapting to modern sports realities. Protect the product or lose it. Because what's worse than Caitlin Clark getting hurt? Her getting hurt again. Or the next star getting hurt while the league still plays pretend. If you think WNBA is only suspending the referee because of the backlash, make sure to like this video. And for the latest WNBA news updates, subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon.